Okay. So we read in Mishnah, 5th Perek, Mishnah Zayin, Mishnah 7, that one of the differentiation between a Chacham and a Golem is Chacham Omer al Rishon Rishon al Achron Achron. Chacham says on first thing first and the last thing last. And Golem doesn't care about that order. Now, to be honest with you, I had a big problem with this for many years, many years. Now, if you look in the commentaries, there is two different explanations. Rambam says, Rambam is easier to understand. Rambam says that the meaning is that Chacham, when he wants to give over an idea, when he wants to explain something, he thinks how to give it over where the listener could understand it. He gives more introductory, elementary ideas first, and then later ones later. So according to Rambam, it happens a lot of times you want to say something because you're so familiar with the idea, you're so familiar with the subject, the order, you don't notice, it's not the best order. You got to be able to put yourself in another shoe, somebody who perhaps hears the subject first, or somebody who's been introduced to it. Like, does this make sense? Is this the best way to organize the material? And it has happened to myself. A lot of times I revamp the order. No. That should be first. It's said first. You have to organize the material. That's Rambam's explanation. That, I think, we have an easier time to understand the difference between Chacham and Golem. But Rashi says no. Rashi doesn't explain like this. Rashi doesn't explain like this. Rashi says that if somebody is asked a number of questions, he answers the first one first and the later one later. And that, I tell you, you bother me. So what's the big deal? You asked me two questions. I answered the question number 2 first. I mean, okay, so I didn't answer in order. What, that makes me Golem? All of a sudden I'm not Chacham anymore, I'm a Golem? Maybe it's better, maybe it's smarter, but it's in the list with everything else that, what is it? What is so horrible about it? And I tell you more. I think Rambam also agrees. I don't think it's a machloket. I think Rambam agrees because Rashi's explanation is brought by Chachamim. Rashi's explanation is brought Chachamim. The truth of the matter is, the source of it is in Chumash. Where is the source? Maurice, you remember where is the source?
Source of?
Omer al-Rishon, Rishon, al-Achron, Achron.
Rashi brings it a few times.
Yes, where?
I don't know.
I believe the first time is by Rivka. Eliezer comes and he makes a bet with Hashem. You know what, Hashem? I ask like this, and if she responds like this, I ask, give me water, and if she says, I'll give you water, and I'll give your animals also, that's the right shidduch. Now, Gemara Chulin says, Eliezer got lucky, because he did a horrible thing. He did a horrible thing, Eliezer. He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that. Maybe the girl who says this is Kenani. Abraham tasked him with the mission to go find a wife from his own family. So the Gemara says it's really, he was lucky, but it was not a proper thing to do. He was tasked to find. So, okay. So Rivka says, she passes the test, says, I'll give you water to your animals. So Pasuk tells us, V'ha'ish mishta'ela. Eliezer, like word for word, exactly what he said happened. Mishna'eh, he's taken aback. Machrish ladat, Yitzliach Hashem la'akol. He's thinking, could it be that I have really succeeded at my mission? So he asked her, Vayomer bat mi'at. He asked her, tell me, whose daughter are you? who's your father? Tell me who's your father. Hagidi nali hayesh betoricha makom lanu lalin. And is there place for us in your father's house to stay? Is there, your father has room for us so we could board by him tonight? So Rivka answers, so Rivka says, Bat Betuel Anochi, I am daughter of Betuel. And then he says, he says, you know what? We have a place for you and your animals to stay. So on that Chachamim make a point. Omer Rishon Rishon, but Achron Achron. You see, Rivka was a Chachama. She was not a Golemet. She was a Chachama. What's the big deal? So you answer the second question first. Okay, I understand it's better, but is it such an earth-shattering issue? It's not the order. If it's really only the order, I don't think that's Chacham we're talking about. Let me ask you a question. Usually, in 99% of the cases, when a traveler goes somewhere, what is his first and utmost concern? What is first on his mind?
Safety.
He wants to find a place to stay. He is looking for a place. That is on his mind the most. That's really what he's thinking about. That's what everybody asks first. Now we understand why Eliezer didn't ask that first. Eliezer, the first question he asked is what?
Whose daughter are you?
Whose daughter are you? Who's your father? Why is that? Because that was his whole mission. Eliezer is not like any other traveler. A traveler going for whatever reason he's going. But right now their first concern is more important than finding a place to stay. Eliezer wants to know, is she the right girl? I made a bet with Hashem, and like you explained. Is she from Avram's family? Who is your father? That's what I need to know. I'll sleep somewhere else. I'll sleep on the park bench. It's as much as it's important for me, I want a place to stay. But it's much, much more important for me to find out who you are. And this is what makes her Chacham. She was able to connect with him on his level, to hear him out. She saw this traveler is not like all your other travelers. She realized, you know what? Who is my father is much, much more primary and main concern by him than a place to stay. So she answered that first. Anybody who's not listening that well would have answered the place to stay first, because that's what you assume is the primary question. So I would like to amend that first and last doesn't mean first and last in order. It means primary and secondary. That was the greatness of Rivka. Rivka was able to connect with the individual on his own terms. You talk to everybody. I said last week in the Parashah of last week, Parashat Pinchas, and that's exactly I said. That's what I connected it to what Moshe asked. Moshe said, Elokei HaRuchot. Moshe said, Hashem, who is the God of Ruchot lekol basar, God of all spirits of living things, find a right, proper leader for Jewish nation. So what does Rashi say, Elokei HaRuchot? How come Elokei HaRuchot? Of all the names that you could use, why Elokei HaRuchot? Anybody remembers? It says Elokei HaRuchot because Ruach means personality. Moshe said, Hashem, you know no two people have the same personality. Choose a leader that could connect with each one according to his personality. Look at Rashi, this is what he says. That's what Zohar says. That's the job of a leader. Two people may come and ask the same questions, the answer is not the same. You got to connect them on their level. On their level, what is their concern, what is their point, how it bothers them, how it pertains to them. That's what Rishon and Achron means. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous? By Rivka, It is Rivka realized this man, something in him, he has a sense of mission that is overriding that sense of finding a place to stay. She realized that, she saw, she connected with him in his level, in his understanding, in his concern. That is Rishon, Rishon, and Achron, Achron. It's very, very important. Right? So what is going on over here is something that we mentioned before, is the art of listening. The art of listening. To be able to listen to another. Remember I said the word ozen in Torah comes from the Shoresh Moznaim. And Chachamim tell us, and parenthetically I explained that also, that the balancing system of a human, Hashem put it in our middle ear. That's right, in our middle. It means if you don't learn, if you don't use your ears, then you don't have a balance view of the world. You don't just hear the words, you gotta listen, you gotta hear the person. You gotta hear the person. And the biggest sign of that, according to now what we explained, is if you are Rishon, Rishon, or Achron, Achron. Do you get what is primary in his point of view, in his talk, in the way he's connecting, and you connect him back on his level, the way that could make sense to him, the way that is responsive for that person, solves his problems, acknowledges his issues. Someone comes and we're good listeners. They complain to you, it's not a big problem, it doesn't bother you, these things. But you're here able to hear on his level. On his level. Right here on his level. I said this before, but that is a very, very obvious example. But Rav Wolbe Zecher Tzadik Yivrocha says, a child who you're giving him a bath and he's playing with a block of wood. There's a little toy inside the bath and he's pretending that that's his ship. And he's going and he's playing with it. And you throw the ship around, back, like, come on, I want to give you a bath. You do not, he says, it's not any less harm than if you would have destroyed or drowned an adult man's business ship. It's not any different. That imagination is real for this child. The pretend play is real for the child. So, a good parent is one that connects with him in his world, in his level. Not to me, this is a piece of a block of wood. What is it to him? To him, it's a real thing. To him, that's how it is. Oh man, obviously, this is a very, very simple example, but everything in life. The person that talks to you, you connect to them. So Rishon, Rishon, and Achron, Achron. You gotta show that concern. You gotta show that concern. Games is important, my children. You can't say, oh, what is this? It's just, you gotta, obviously, you have to teach them a hierarchy of what is more important. But you gotta talk to them in that level. You gotta talk to them in that level. What is Rishon? What is Achron? What is Rishon? What is Achron? Okay. Now, let's see if we have a little bit more here. Arba midot betalmidim. We're up to Mishnah Yud Bet. Mishnah Yud Bet. There are 4 types of students. There are 4 types of studies, I think. Maher lishma or maher le'abed. Somebody who understands quickly. He gets it. He's got a very sharp pickup. But maher le'abed. And he loses it at the same time. He's doesn't retain information. The memory is not there. The memory is not there. Why is that, by the way? Because he's not interested in a knowledge as much as he's interested in, what is it called? in exploring. He likes to explore. He doesn't like to know necessarily. A new piece of information, right away he gets it. But to review, to retain, that he doesn't feel so attracted to. Doesn't feel so. It's the attraction. Right?
Not learn. Explore but not learn.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Not know, I should say.
Not know.
Right? The learning for him is exploring, not knowing. It's not. That's right. That's right. קשה לשמוע, קשה לעבד. Somebody, it takes him a while to get it. It takes him a while to pick up. וקשה לעבד, יעשה הפסדו ושכרו. Whatever difficulty he had is paid back with his good point. It's worth it. It's worth it, Mishnah is saying. Right? The first case is יעשה שכרו בהפסדו. Whatever good point he has is cancelled out with his bad point. You learned it fast, you lost it fast. Easy come, easy go. What's the point of that? But the one קשה לשמוע, קשה לעבד. The one, it takes him a good while to learn, but once he learns, he's really got it, he retains it, he reviews it. So that, such a person, Yosef said, oh, the difficulty of learning is paid back, is cancelled out, with the good point of him retaining it, with the benefit. Maher lishma v'kasher la'abed, of course, somebody who's maher lishma, he could understand quickly, because once he understands, he doesn't lose it, he's got it. Chacham. Kasher lishma u'maher la'abed. If somebody takes him a while to study, u'maher la'abed, but then he doesn't even retain it, he loses it, ze chelek ra. This is obviously a bad portion, not a good thing. Not a good thing. Okay. We shall go over this Mishnah more. We'll see what it is. Yes, these are things we need to explore next session.